put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Good morning, Tobago, and welcome this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. It is a beautiful, beautiful Thursday morning here in downtown Scarborough, Tobago. And we're coming to you live from the third floor, Port Mall. I am Maria Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad. Those of you viewing us in the Caribbean, those of you on the live, good morning, good morning. Like I said, it's a beautiful morning here in Tobago. It's a little bit rainy, a little bit overcast in Lower Scarborough, and if I stand corrected, even in the east. So wherever you're coming from, we trust that you're going to remain safe and dry this morning. I'm not sure what's happening further down west, but certainly east has some rain and in Scarborough, so just remember to be safe. And this is a nice live shot here of Wilson Road, Scarborough, Tobago. For those of you who are joining us on the live, maybe you're living abroad and you have not seen what Scarborough looks like, what Tobago looks like, a little bit of the development that has been taking place over a period of time. Certainly, I'm not sure how long you've been out, but I don't think Scarborough would have looked like that maybe when you were growing up here in Tobago within recent years. Before we get into things, we want to make mention of some of our sponsors. This morning we've got Akilon, Julian's Hair by Akilon, and Checkpoint, who provides his clothing. So we say good morning to Checkpoint and Akilon. We've got House of Norma, Sasha Cosmetics, here Sanctuary, Phyllis Grant, Just My Size. We say good morning to Joyce Fashion. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I want to send a very special good morning this morning to Miss Hercules of Hair Sanctuary. A very special good morning going to you this morning, Miss Hercules, and I trust that you have a great year. Happy New Year to you, and I pray God's blessings even on your business and all the businesses of the sponsors who connect with us every day here for the Tobago Updates Morning Show. A special good morning this morning going out to Suzanne Kwabena. Suzanne Kwabena. I met this lady yesterday and she said, I look at the show every morning. And I decided this morning, you know what? We've got to send a shout out to Suzanne Kwabena and to all of you who join us every morning, whether on TV or on the live. We say good morning, and we thank you so much for joining us every day that you make the time to tune in to Julian and I. We say thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, we're going to head over to News in 90 Seconds with Chanel Felix.
Thank you, Ria, and good morning, Tobago. Guys, I have your news in 90 seconds. The PDP filed vacant positions on their National Executive Council following a meeting in the last quarter of 2022. According to the press release, the party chose to merge the Tobago and Trinidad executive into one. The Tobagonians serving on the national executives are political leader Watson Duke, Chairman Dr. Sean Ned, Deputy Political Leader Curtis O'Neill, Assistant Secretary David Thomas, Treasurer Marlon Rajman, and Mobilization and Operations Officer Akil Abdullah. All other positions belong to various party members from Trinidad. Several months ago, Duke removed members from his executive, while others resigned from their rift with the Chief Secretary Farley Augustine. And in other news, the THA took advice from Antigua and Bermuda to advance the redevelopment project for Scarborough. According to a press release from the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries and Urban Development, Secretary Trevor James, a small contingent visited the CARICOM country as they commissioned a new deepwater harbor port facility. The Secretary noted similarities in their geography that can help the THA in designing new infrastructure for Tobago. And finally, scrap iron dealers were cautioned about adhering to the law or else. President of the Scrap Iron Dealers Association, Alan Ferguson, warned that he is not afraid of reporting delinquent dealers to the police if illegal operations are detected. The warning came after the 6-month ban on the industry was lifted and new legislation implemented. TTSIDA will have its own team of inspectors in addition to those appointed by the government to closely monitor the industry, both domestically and abroad. Ferguson said that changes is hard, but it is necessary for the improvement and growth of the industry. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Ria.
Thank you so much there, Chanel Felix. Thank you so much there for that news. And certainly we see interesting things happening within the PDP, but we're going to get into those and other stories a little bit later on this morning. We're going to head on over this morning into our birthday segment. And we've got some birthdays coming up today, persons celebrating their birthdays here on the 5th of January 2023. We've got our very good friend out there, Fire Officer Yarrell Phillips, celebrating his birthday. Yarrell, love going out to you this morning. From all of us here at Tobago Updates, you know, all of we is one family, most definitely. We've got Kathy Nicholson also celebrating her birthday. So Kathy, love going out to you from all of us here at Tobago Updates. We trust that you have a really great one. And finally, we've got Wolde Selassie Dewsbury celebrating his 40th birthday today. We trust that you have a great one. Stay safe and much love going out to you this morning from all of us here at Tobago Updates Wolde. So just to give you an idea of what's coming up on the program this morning, we will be chatting with the Minority Leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, Kelvin Morris, who's going to be on the program as we focus on hope for the new year. He's going to share with us some of the plans that they've got for 2023. As well, we will be chatting with Antonio Phillips, and we're going to see Candace out in action, as they call her, Action Jackson. Yes, we're going to see her out in action this morning on board a glass-bottom boat kayaking here in Tobago. And then we're going to wrap things up this morning chatting with Brendan Gray, who is the branch manager of Tatil Tobago. And he's going to talk with us a little bit on Tatil, the concept of life insurance. So that's what's coming up on the program. That's what's coming up on the program this morning. Never a dull moment when you're live in studio. I think we're heading over to Candace. We're heading over to Candace at this point.
Thank you, Ria and Julian. Yes, I am here with my life jacket on. I've got these oars in hand, which means I am off on another adventure. Find out what I'm about to do in just a little bit on the Tobago Updates morning show. It is back to you, Ria and Julian.
All right, thank you there, Candace. And you see Candace already all dressed and geared and ready to get on board. She's going kayaking this morning. So we're going to catch up with her a little bit later on in the program this morning. So viewers, we want to say good morning to all of you connecting with us on the live. A special good morning to Auntie Dora Lyons. I have to say, who was here, but we're going to connect with her a little bit later on in the year when she's back. Trust that you have a safe travel back to New York. Good morning to Selma Lashley, Andre Edwards, Cleo Williams. Good morning, Princess Pigott. Good morning to you guys. And to all of you joining us via M&E TV, Gael, we say good morning to you. Trust that you have a great one today. Well, viewers, we are going to wrap things up here for a short time, and when we come back, lots more happening here on the Tobago Updates morning show. So this is your opportunity to share the live.
MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We are chatting this morning with Minority Leader of the Tobago House of Assembly, Kelvin Morris. This morning our topic is There's Hope for the New Year. Good morning and welcome to you, and Happy New Year to you, Mr. Morris.
Good morning, Ria. Thank you, and Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year to all Tobagonians, Trinidad and Tobagonians, and all your listeners worldwide.
Thank you so much. Let me chat with you here. How was the Christmas season for you? You're here with us this morning. This is the first time that we're seeing you for 2023.
Yes.
What was it like for you this year?
Christmas been quite busy. Of course, we would have we had our Christmas treat, and then we did some social intervention hampers and that kind of thing. And then I took the period to really relax, with family. So I got a lot of family time in. I'm thankful for that. And yeah, of course, eating black cake and all those good stuff.
Do you bake?
I am not a baker. But I'm an eater of baked stuff.
Mrs. Morris. Mrs. Morris.
I admire the persons who bake, and I enjoy what comes out from those delicacies. So, but I did bake my ham.
You bake your ham. We leave it right there. But maybe next year we can.
Next year, I'll probably come by you for some classes. I heard you were quite good in the kitchen.
I don't know who told you that. All right. All right, let's talk a little bit here about 2023 and what we can expect. I mean, how would you describe, looking back now, how would you describe 2022 before we head into 2023? If you were to rate 2022 1, what rate would you give, and then how would you describe it?
2022, of course, I would say give it about 6. One, most importantly, thankful that we were able to survive, the worst of this pandemic. Very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And of course, because we're coming out of a pandemic, a lot of persons found it difficult. A lot of families, had to struggle through all the realities of what COVID would have done. Some persons lost income and that kind of thing. So for me, it was that kind of transition period. And therefore, one just have to be very grateful that we were able to survive. Many of us lost loved ones as well. So even coping, those coping mechanisms post-COVID would have really dealt a blow to a lot of families. But all in all, we are here, we are alive, and we look forward to the possibilities of 2023.
All right. And so as we move into 2023, let's talk about some of the plans. What would you like to see? What are some of your plans as minority?
As minority leader, Ria, I've taken the position that this year I would focus on people. My main goal is to ensure that we try our best to help those out there that cannot help themselves. And there are a lot of families out there that are definitely going through a lot of different challenges. Mm-hmm. We have challenges of persons not able to even feed themselves at this time, persons still out there unemployed. So it's about finding ways of providing opportunities for them to be skilled and trained and that kind of thing. So what you would see coming out of the Office of the Minority and out of the area representative for Darrell Spring is one that would be people-focused. We will be utilizing an all of Tobago in the north, one in the east, and one in the west of Tobago, where we would allow persons to come in who require support and be able to take up what they can. We'll also be inviting our farmers to participate, our persons who cook and that kind of thing to participate. So it'll be a total event. So it's really about focusing on people. I think people are fed up of the politics And for me, the politics would be only about people. We will talk about the issues that affect Tobagonians and how do we fix those issues in a real and meaningful way.
Okay. Apart from that, and I love the initiative. I love the idea of this night market, and what it is you want to see happen. Um, Tell us a little bit more. Go a little bit more in depth in terms of. You said it's about people, right? And putting the focus on people. Yes, people are fed up of the politics, and what I think Tobagonians would love to see is a coming together, a collaborative effort, and it may be wishful thinking, but both sides of the party seem to be about people. Why not work together to ensure that people are the real focus?
Ria, my approach has always been one about Tobago first, and I've always put out that sort of olive branch that I'm here to work with whoever is interested in. But what we have seen thus far, Ria, I'm sure, if we were really to be honest, Tobagonians are quite disappointed with what has been passing for governance in Tobago, and we have seen how the issues have unfolded. And those issues does not speak to persons who really are focused on Tobago and Tobago issues. We see issues where contractors are being sidelined, Tobagonians in preference for persons from other places. We see issues where Tobagonians have been fired, put on the breadline, and with nothing, no kind of provision of support. We see persons waiting months upon months for something as simple as a $500 food card. We see people having to line up and wait hours upon hours in the hospital and so forth. So for me, we need to go past, and I'm not going to focus on those who are governing, because those who are governing continue to fail and betray the trust of Tobagonians. And therefore, I'm calling on Tobagonians for us to come together. So I'm focused on the people of Tobago, the various stakeholders, from our agriculturists, our tourism stakeholders. Let the people of Tobago take control of Tobago again, because the persons who are there, they are not seeking the interests of Tobagonians. So we, the people, and I'm here to work with the people of Tobago. And you will see me going from village to village, community to community, organizations to organizations, to really treat with how do we build Tobago, because Tobago is pregnant with possibilities, Ria. When you look at the beauty of Tobago, you travel the world, and you would see that there are few places that can compare to the natural beauty of Tobago. Tobago is a resourceful place. We are filled with resources, and therefore what we have here is an injustice to what Tobago should really be.
Yeah, and yeah, expect anything on life. Expect anything. Thank you, Cass. All right. Even as we talk about the possibilities of possibilities of Tobago, and where you want to see Tobago head. If you were to give one piece of advice to the chief secretary, just I know there's a lot rushing to your mind, but if you were to give one piece of advice as it pertains to a very new set of dynamics to the economy, a very new set of dynamics to the Tobago space, if there's one piece of advice that you could give, what would it be?
Yeah.
Bearing in mind that economies worldwide have changed. Okay, as you mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people on the breadline. There are a lot of persons who do not know where the next meal is coming from. Persons would have lost their jobs. 2022 hit hard. Moving forward, what would you say to this chief secretary that does not need to be political, but people focused as we move forward?
Yeah, I'm kind of tired giving advice to a chief secretary who has many advisors. But what I would say is govern honestly. For too long, we have been getting from this chief secretary promises that just does not materialize. It's about it's too much PR. It's just, and I think people are getting fed up of it, Ria. That we can't trust the word of this chief secretary. You tell us one thing today, and then you do a next thing tomorrow. And people just want someone who would just be real with them. And if you govern honestly, I think that we will be in a better place. Because look, something as simple. We were promised a day of prayer. I don't know if I missed it because it was my anniversary, but I don't know if I missed it.
I'm sorry, when was your anniversary?
The 1st of January.
Well, congratulations to you and Mrs. Morris. We would have missed that one.
Yeah, so I don't know if I missed it as well, but I didn't see the day of prayer. We were promised ex gratia by the end of the year. I don't know if I missed it, but I've not heard any THA workers said they got ex gratia, and you cannot just continue to PR your way out of the truth. The chief secretary needs to put down alternative truths and be real with Tobagonians. I think people are just fed up. And if we start from that position of truth, honesty, accountability, I think we are in a good stead going forward. But it has to start with truth.
Okay, no, we haven't heard anything as well on those issues, but certainly we will be able to hear from the chief secretary maybe within this week, and we can get some updates on what has been happening with that. It's almost as though persons have been very quiet or very silent on particularly the ex gratia payments. And if there are persons out there, I think
persons are just really just fed up. They're just at the point of time, at the point of, you know, they're throwing their hand up. And Tobagonians are resilient people. What Tobagonians would do, they would stay very quiet, but they would wait for the opportunity. And that's why I'm saying, for me, I'm no longer about really regurgitating the issues, because I think Tobagonians are intelligent enough and they understand the issue. When you talk to the normal man on the ground, you would be surprised to see how alert and aware they are of the issue. So I'm not going to come and regurgitate and try to, because there'll be some people who will follow regardless. But there are enough persons understanding issues and they're waiting for the opportunity. So I don't have to tell the chief secretary that the honorable thing, the moral thing to do, the ethical thing to do at this point, even within this situation that we have right now, is to go back to the polls and allow persons to have their say. I'm not going to be Tobagonians are saying that is what they want. And eventually, the longer they take, is the more Tobagonians will treat with them when the time comes. So I am no longer going to be that voice that is there where people would feel that all I'm doing is being an opposition voice or so. I'm going to focus on how do we build Tobago, and I'm going to do that moving from village to village, community to community, organization to organization. We're going to start that kind of interaction, and we're going to do things. So it's not going to be about talk alone. We're going to collaborate with the business sector to see how do we utilize what is available and build out a robust business sector. We're going to collaborate with the tourism, the persons involved in tourism, to see how do we look at strengthening our product development, because one of the challenges outside of customer service and access is what are we really offering? How do we add value to the things that we have here in Tobago? And we need now to really build out a cadre of things that you can do in Tobago. We're going to talk to our agriculture people because they are also fed up of the talk and the promise. Imagine you had an opportunity to empower your agricultural sector through a food box program, and most of your stuff came from Trinidad. How do we build? So we are going to really talk to our people and see how do we create the synergies that we can have a seamless flow from agriculture into tourism, tourism into jobs, and that kind of thing.
Now, I hear, and you're raising several issues here. You're raising several issues here with regards truth and honesty and your forthrightness and that sort of thing. You're calling on the THA to be honest and truthful with for the way forward. There's some who would say, but Mr. Morris, when given the opportunity, I mean, you represent a party that some may say had years, to be honest and truthful, and may not have done that, may not have always done that. What do you say to that?
Well, first and foremost, I, as a member of a party, do not control the administrative arrangements of the party. Of course, persons, if anybody, and I've left my social media open, never change anything. Because if there are times I have disagreed openly with things or approaches in the past, openly. But more than that, Ria, it is also kind of hypocritical, because these are the same persons who are saying now that they are some of them are very comfortable without a party arrangement and without persons being held accountable by party, but holding people to their word. And I am challenging persons to hold me to my word as well, because at the end of the day, it has to be about Tobago. And if we continue to look back in the past, and because if we continue to simply regurgitate or measure what we receive now as governance because of the past, I could go back to some of the very good things that the past administration done, and I could also point out things that the public could have done better.
Right.
But at the end of the day, these are the people we would have entrusted with the governance of Tobago, and the persons who sit there are currently not carrying out the mandate. In fact, they have divorced themselves from the mandate that was given to them by Tobagonians. And because one of the mandate that they got was to go there and seek the interests of Tobago. We have given out $300 million in contracts. No Tobagonian was part of that arrangement, right? We are hearing a secretary coming to us and tell us that they made $300 million in revenue in Carnival. We all live in Tobago. I've spoken to all the persons involved in the Carnival fraternity, from promoter to mass band leader, and everybody told me they operated at a loss. So I'm trying to figure out, if everybody operated at a loss, to the point that I'm hearing even the hotels had to have some support coming down to December when it came to electricity. So if all this money was made, is it that the secretary alone made this 300? Because I'm challenging her today to bring the figures, let us see the persons who made this $300 million, because if Tobago made $300 million, we should be booming at this point in time. You understand? So we are not, this current administration is not carrying out the mandate that they were given. $300 million, and I'll keep stressing on it, that could have done so much for Tobago in terms of hardware, contractors, employment. And we have shipped that $300 million in a kind of clandestine way. One of the contracts were given out within 48 hours to a company elsewhere that is not properly registered with the procurement department. So the procurement is not aware of that company, but the THA, somebody was aware of the company to be able to find them and give them a contract for over $19 million.
Do you, at this point, want to declare which company that is?
That is that contract, and I would have publicly stated with records, the company that did the patchwork from Smithfield to Dutchford, because if you check that road is not fully paved. You're seeing portions of it paved, and then portion is a regular road. And we spent $19 million in record time to that company. We have situation where you're seeing contractors writing and claiming that they met and negotiated contracts with a secretary, and I have the document to prove it.
Okay. When can we get a hold of those documents?
I can provide you with that document as soon as today. And I'm sorry I didn't work with it, but I would provide it to the media, where a contractor is saying to the secretary, subsequent to the meeting with you, here is my proposal. And we have the Chief Secretary on record stating that they do not get involved with contracts. He's on record as saying his secretaries do not get involved in the procurement of contracts. And I have the evidence showing where a contractor is saying, writing directly to the secretary, reminding him of a meeting that they had, and this is my proposal.
All right. The Tobago Updates will get a hold of...
yes, and I guarantee I would send that to Tobago Updates because, as I said, I don't have to... my word is my bond. I give it, and I give it. I only speak when I have facts.
All right. We're wrapping up here this morning, Mr. Morris, but even as we wrap up here with you, some closing comments.
Well, Ria, as I said, if I'm calling on Tobagonians, whether of all backgrounds, at the end of the day, the initiatives that I would be doing, we would be doing in the Office of the Minority and as a representative will be focused on the people, and we are calling all Tobagonians, corporate Tobago, the layman on the street, the man in the village, the man in the community, the man in the shop. Let us all come together, work together to help our brothers. There are a number of families struggling, and most of the initiatives will be geared towards that. The other initiatives will be geared towards building out our agricultural sector or tourism sector. And as the year unfolds, you would see more and more of these initiatives rolling out. So I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And I want to thank you, Tobagonians, for your support, for your prayers, and for your advice thus far.
All right, thank you so much. Tillinda and Mac on the live. Yes, we do watch the comments. Some of them we do share. Is there one in particular that you'd like me to share on the air for you, Lynn and Mac? I'll be happy to do so. All right, I'm going to thank all of you for your comments on the live. Certainly very interesting. And we want to thank you for your comments on the live, even as we continue our discussion. But viewers, lots more coming up on the Tobago Updates morning show. We've got Mr. Brendan Gray coming up. In fact, we got Brendan Gray coming up a little bit later on in the program. We're going to head over to Candace Action Jackson out there kayaking in East Tobago. So we're going to head over to that just after the break. So now is your opportunity, viewers, to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, where I, Candace Jackson, am out in the Bonacore Lagoon on this beautiful glass-bottomed, well, plexiglass-bottomed kayak. Yes. I'm going to show you about a wonderful way that you can spend your mornings or your evenings. If you just want an easy time of relaxation, you're going to experience it with me. And to tell us about this whole experience and why it's so wonderful, we have none other than Mr. Antonio Phillip from the Tobago Frontier Divers, where you can board these glass-bottom kayaks and experience what I'm experiencing for yourself. So Special, good morning and welcome to you. Yes,
thank you, Candice. Good morning and welcome, folks. Nice having you with us today.
All right, so we are in glass bottom kayaks.
Yes.
On the Bonaccord Lagoon.
Yes, and we are going along the mangroves where we're going to see a lot of species of different animals. Of course, different variety of mangrove also. So come along and enjoy.
All right, so how long have you guys been doing this?
This project has been out almost, I could say, over 5 years. Over 5 years, all right? And we've had a good turnout so far. It brings us closer to nature, where you can actually see and experience that thrill of nature in its natural state, right?
Now we know when we're on those Book Reef tours, you're on a glass bottom tours. I mean, we're on a glass bottom kayak right now, but when you're on the tours, you get to come along here with a loud engine, sometimes the music on those vessels and things like that.
Yeah.
But what is so special about this experience?
Right, this experience, as you see, it's quiet, so you kind of like sneak up on nature.
I like
and
that.
Get close to them. All right. Also, it gives you a bit of exercise, keeps your body fit, works the lungs.
Got that
right. Right. And also, it allows you to, with this sort of sensation, your brain, your mental state also gets enhancement, relaxation, the water, the fresh air, that sort of thing.
Now tell me a bit about what we are seeing around us right now. So we are in the Bonaccord Lagoon, and of course these are the mangroves. But what else are we experiencing?
All right, so it's a reserved area. This is actually the calmest part of the lagoon. It's sheltered away from the wind, most of the wind, and also the current. All right, the water comes in and goes out at the same entrance, which makes a swirl. All right. So the mangrove acts as a shelter for the species. The birds in the canopy, snakes, the fish and other creatures. Also, as you can look into the water, you will see just under the roots, you will see the coral growing along the roots. You will see also oysters, crabs and snails. All right.
Now tell me about just how has the mangroves changed for you in the past 5 years, especially having this intimate look at...
All right, it's stopping right here.
Yes.
So over the past time, apart from the disruptive weather that caused a bit of damages to the mangrove due to the excess slush and all of that, and then the creatures, they are being disturbed by the high level of water and the extreme low levels also, right? Apart from that, the filtration through the mangroves from on land, we are being infested with more and more chemicals into the drain, the system, which filters into the mangrove and also damages the plants and the ecosystem, right? So we see a lot of the mangrove falling apart and dying due to some sort of infestation of unwanted substances, right?
Yes. I mean, and of course, this is disastrous for us because, folks, if you don't know, the mangroves is what protects our coastline. We have coastal erosion happening all over the island, but our wetlands here are so important to making sure that we cannot have our homes flooded and all of those things that we're seeing that's happening. You know, I mean, Scarborough Sack has come in under constant pressure for the past few decades. And, you know, one of the reasons why, because we are destroying our mangroves. But, I mean, we can learn about them through experiences like this. So when you bring people out here in the mangroves like this, and I mean, I don't know if viewers, you could hear it. but it's absolutely quiet, except for there's a jet ski out there, but it's pristine and quiet out here. But when you bring people and give them this experience, what are their reactions?
Most times they are very amazed, because it's not a natural occasion to be this close to nature in its natural form without being disturbed and without disturbing them actually. So you and nature become one once again. You're so tuned in, all right? You see the fish peeping out at you just under the surface. They actually come and look at you. We had 3 occasions fish jumping into the kayaks. So don't be surprised if they jump in, all right? The birds, however, sometimes they are feeding and they ignore you totally. So you actually get to see them in motion, feeding, how they go about catching their little lunch and dinner, right?
And now, as we go into the water, you're seeing a lot of sediment, and then you're seeing spiders basically skipping over the water.
Surface, definitely. So these spiders are able to, due to the spreading of the weight on their legs, they are able to cover the surface of the water without sinking. All right? The weight distribution is very dynamic.
Now, is this color of the water, is this normal for the mangrove, what we're experiencing right now with all the sediment that's in here?
No, this is not normal. As I said earlier, the fact that we have excessive runoff water, also the chemicals that come in. Now the slush settles at this area, so it isn't much motion, so you get it settling more than the other areas. And until it has settled enough that it's dropped to the bottom, then you'll get a more clear visibility in the water.
Yes, right? Because right now the water is not very clear. And the slush, could you let the viewers know where the slush is coming from?
So it washes off some of it through the roots of the mangrove. Also, when the tide rises, it pushes in from the open sea inward. And as the current passes, it settles, because it's not much motion up at this area. All right? So the slush also from decomposed coral and other stuff that remain under the water.
Now, after seeing all of this over the past year or two, or last few years, I should say, do you think we are doing enough to protect this area? Because, I mean, this has been designated as a Ramsar site here in Tobago, but are we doing anything for it?
So you say, are we doing anything? Now, one person can do so much,
yes,
but there are the folks who have the power and the ability to make things happen. And I think they need to make things happen. They are not making it happen. Much more can be done to preserve and protect this that we have right here. All right?
And then what about in terms of tourism? How much has tourism contributed to the degradation of this area?
Well, the tourism has caused it positive and negative in that they overcrowded at times, and then is the most attractive for the economy of the country. Most of the folks come to see this natural habitat and get in this close contact with nature. So it's most attractive place on the island basically. Yet still, we don't want it to be overcrowded, where you have too much people disturbing the animals. They get excited also. Right?
Now, on our way in, we passed 2-3 boas, or mango snakes?
Mango snake, they call them.
What is their role here out here in the mangroves, and why should we not interfere with them?
Right, so it's a balanced equation. They feed on birds, snakes, and other animals that thrive in the treetops. All right, they can also have the ability to snap flying bat out of the air. All right.
So they control the bat population.
So they help to balance the ecosystem. Okay.
Yeah. What are some of the best experiences you've had out here in the mangrove in terms of with nature?
Yeah, this kayak brings me so close. I see the turtles sometimes swimming next to me, taking a breath. It's so close with nature, it brings you back to that relaxed sense of feeling comfortable, relaxed, knowing that life is so precious, right? And we have all this treasure right here that's free and accessible to everyone.
And why should all Tobagonians come out and just have experiences like this, regardless of their fitness levels?
So this gives you, as a Tobagonian, a sense of what's in your backyard, should I say. What's in your pocket also, all right? So that's a heron right there in front of us. He's just having a hop, feeding on some crabs, all right? So you will see the nature in your backyard similar, not this mass, but it might be small. And you might want to say, well, I don't need that, but it's necessary. The ecosystem right in your backyard needs to be preserved also, all right?
And now, viewers, it's your turn to come out and experience it with me. It is such a wonderful, peaceful experience. So, Antonio, how can they get in touch with you?
All right, you can come at Store Bay, Frontier Divers Dive Shop, and ask for the kayak tour. Okay? Also, you can call, check on Facebook, and get the numbers, contact us, Frontier Divers, and make your bookings. Yeah?
All right, so it's your turn, Tobagonians. Come out, enjoy, and experience it for yourself and see what you yourself can do to ensure that this area does stay protected and we don't lose this treasure that's here on our island. All right, that's it from me, Candace Jackson. Don't go anywhere because we have a whole lot more coming up for you after the break. And in the meantime, I'm going to paddle my way along in the Bonaccord Lagoon. Bye for now.
All right. Easy. Easy.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome back to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. Just before we get into things, some really interesting, really celebratory news coming to us this morning. We want to say congratulations this morning to Chief Farley Augustine and his beautiful wife Takia, who celebrated and welcomed the birth of their baby girl yesterday. So we say congratulations to them from all of us here at Tobago Updates and all of us in Tobago and all of those who are following their story along the way. So we say congratulations to them. We understand that baby girl may have come a little bit early, but she's here and she's healthy, which is one of the most important things. So mommy and baby are doing well, according to our information. And just to clarify some misinformation that came across a little bit earlier, yes, the day of prayer did take place on Sunday, the 1st of January 2023. All right, so we want to put that out there. Now, this time, viewers, we are chatting with Mr. Brendan Gray, who's the branch manager for Tatil Tobago. And this morning, our focus is on Tatil, the concept of life insurance. Good morning and welcome to Brendan Gray. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you and your team and your viewers all over the world, because I understand you have a vast viewership that's taking place today. And congratulations to you I think this is your second year in the business.
We're into our second year,
into your
yes.
second year, so congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Brandon, how have you been?
I've been doing well, as taking one day at a time, of course, and trying to assist to transform this island into the greatest little one that there is, by informing others, by working with others. I have worked with a group recently to lift the business community, a very interesting group, a professional group, to try to lift the business community and see where that can go. I have also, by the Assistant Secretary for Community Development, Youth Development and Sport, Mr. Wayne Clark, has asked us to combine our efforts in the Kelvin fraternity to set out a combination of work. I'm on that, and I'm also working with another group of people in the insurance fraternity to bring together another group together to see how we can impress and make this island, transform the island accordingly to as the Chief Secretary says, the greatest little one. So I've been doing that.
All right. Well, it seems as though you've been busy.
Well, and I think it's important that we all work towards a goal, because you see, I could recall when I went to the Bahamas in the 60s to live. The similar kind of inspiration has took place. They said it's better in the Bahamas was their thought. That was their tagline.
Right.
And it come into fusion because I go there frequently, and it's really a transformed country, a transformed island. Nassau is. They get about 8 cruise ships per day to their port, and you know what that means. Cruise ships of 3,000 people, 8. You know what it means.
Building tourism.
Yes, building tourism. Yeah.
All right. So, wink, wink. Certainly opportunities for us.
It is opportunity. There are opportunities, and we can learn from all those experiences that they have had. All of the islands. As a matter of fact, I just came back from a cruise, and each one I went to, you had the ships. They were the port was extension to the island. None of them was on the island. It's an extension. So you built a port for the cruise ships. And so you had 4 and 5 cruise ships at the port at the same time, most of them. And I think that we need to build our island in that regard.
All right, all right. Well, let's get into some things here with regards to insurance. How would you, when you ask the question, I mean, what is insurance, and why is it necessary?
It's a concept, you know. It's really building and protecting human life values. Really, it is. So, let's put it this way: human life values, as reflected by current earning power, is constitute economic value and economic asset that every homeowner has.
Right.
And if it is lost because of some act, then you will not have the economic or the income power that you had before. So what insurance does is replace or protect the income or the earning power that would have been lost because the breadwinner may have died, or because of some prolonged ailment or illness.
Right.
The value that would have been lost because of the earning power needs to be replaced so that the family can continue its dreams and livelihood and its living standards. So insurance replaces the earning power that would have been lost to the family once you have insurance, of course.
How does insurance differ from one's savings, one's ordinary savings?
Well, first of all, to save, it takes a while.
Right.
So you put in funds over a period of time in order to. But with insurance, as you pay the first premium,
You're covered.
You're covered. It's the greatest dynamic situation in terms of asset accumulation. It's the greatest thing because as you pay one premium, whatever the value of that program you took, it is become an estate. It becomes your estate. And so anything that happened once it is part of the program, what happens, you will be paid. And that to me is fantastic. It's selling an idea.
Net, yeah.
It's something. So with savings, as I said, you have to build that over a period. With insurance, you don't.
Okay.
One premium.
And you're covered.
And you're covered.
All right. I'm sure persons would have asked you in the past, what happens to the premiums that I would pay every month or on a monthly basis, maybe 3-5 years into paying, or maybe 10, 15, 20 years and nothing happens. Do I get back what I've paid? I'm sure persons have asked you. So can I get it back?
Yes. Well, it depends on what program you
Right.
have involved in. There are those programs that have that kind of facility, and there are some that is just pure coverage. Obviously, the ones that will net you interest in terms of or value or cash values
Right.
will cost a bit more than the ones that just a pure insurance cover. You see, so there are programs of that nature. But I would want to go back to the first question you asked, because it is important that we understand human life values and what really takes place in terms of insurance and what it does. For instance, let's look at family.
Right.
John and Jane. And John and Jane has 2 kids,
Right.
1 2 and 1 6, let's say. It might be that wide. It might be
Right.
2 and 3 or 2 and 4,
Right.
rather 2 and 6. I'm looking at the chief now. He has 1.
One, right.
I'm waiting to see when the other one will be. So John and Jane has 2 kids, 1 2, 1 6, and they're going along fine. The income is, let's say, 10,000 combined, and so everything's going beautiful. And something happens, either John or Jane is no longer because they passed,
Right.
or a prolonged ailment has intervened. What would you think would happen? There would be not $10,000 coming into the family as an income, as an earning, but the living standards were around $8,000. So their savings were 2.
Right.
Now that John or Jane has passed, how would that impact on the family's earning power? Without insurance, how would the children's dreams become a reality? Because they would have their dreams as to, well, they are studying, I want to be an engineer, I want to be a scientist, I want to be a, whatever it is, a psychologist or whatever. They have their dreams. And they've been pulling along, making sure that these dreams are a reality because they're putting in the studies, they're doing all the work that's necessary, they're sacrificing play for work and schoolwork and homework, as the case might be, and they're pursuing those things. And this happened.
Right.
And the income has been challenged. How do they pursue? How do they continue with this dream?
Unfortunately, this is the scenario of many families out there. When should one start thinking of insurance as an individual? When should you start thinking of insurance? And you created a scenario of a husband and a wife and children. You created a family scenario. But should one wait until there is a family to start thinking of insurance? When should you start thinking of getting insurance?
As soon as you start to work. As soon as you start to work, you have dreams. Everyone has dreams.
This is not a conversation that a lot of young people have. I'm sure you realize that.
I know, because they think they're invincible.
Right.
We all think that way, yes.
An 18-year-old does not wake up one day and say, okay, I've turned 18 today. I'm going to go out there and get insurance. I'm working at a supermarket. I'm going to go out there and get insurance.
No, because, first of all, let's see. The dollar is very important. How you spend that dollar is the first thing. Young people today want their nails to be out here, you know, and so
hair
on. So,
on fleek. The focus is messed up. The focus is wrong.
Exactly. You see, and so that it's only when it's become dire.
Right.
When you're young, remember, insurance. The cost of insurance is very small. The earlier the age is, so you could buy a lot, and it continues throughout life with that same price. It does not increase. It does not increase like the standard of living.
Right.
Once you buy insurance at a particular price, it stays that way throughout life. So I would say that from the time you start working, you should look for someone to put that in place for you. That's one, and then as you go through life, conversions take place, child changes will take place, as the case might be. I can remember in my instance when my family, I had a few $1 million in coverage, because if anything happens to me, I want to make sure my children, their success, their education would be seen about. They wouldn't have to worry about that, as the case might be. Mortgage would be paid off, as the case might be, so that now that they have finished school and they're all grown up, I then converted it into something that's more realistic and put it into my estate. And that's my estate. That will continue wherever the time is it. So that must be how we think about insurance. But let me also say, not only is a family situation insurance is important to a family situation, it's more important to the single parent. Very, very important to the single parent. Because a single parent, anything happens to that single parent, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It is, whereas in the family, there is another form of income coming in, and so it's more highly important for the single parent. And I would want to encourage all single parents to look for insurance. And as you see, I wear Tattle insurance on my shirt.
Right.
It means that I'm promoting Tattle.
Tattoo.
That's important. So I have a lot of good people working with me.
Now, you know, even as we talk, you mentioned there the single parent. You want to encourage the single parent to do this. I'm sure you've heard single parents say, well, I'm already struggling to make ends meet. I'm already struggling to survive on a monthly basis. In terms of how low a premium can be to allow a single parent, and maybe I'm biased, I'm focused on a single mother who's trying to make ends meet, pay the bills, take care of her children. How can she survive and yet afford life insurance?
The only way to do that is to see an agent. Yeah, that's the only way. I would not be able to.
But that you can break it down.
That's right.
And come up with a premium.
That's based
suitable
on the situation. So an agent will be able to work with you, look at your need, analyze your need,
right,
analyze where you are, analyze
your
where you want to
situation.
Go, and current situation, analyze it in a particular way, and make recommendations that
right
would be facilitated.
So it is possible.
It is possible. It is possible. Anything is possible, because it is important that you do that. It's important that you sit with someone, do the necessary analysis, because that is where the crux is. What your dreams are, what your goals are, what those things. Okay, and you figure those things out, you work out those practicalities in terms of what it is, and you can then make recommendations. The agent will make a recommendation as this, that, or the other, and you make the choice. And that's basically what it is.
All right, and very quickly here, I know we're talking about the concept of insurance, but very quickly here, just tell our viewers, in terms of insurance, what types of insurances are there out there? We know of the familiar ones like health and life, but what are some of the other types of insurances policies that persons can look at for coverage? Maybe you're just thinking life and health, but there are other things that can be insured.
Well, we have a range of products, and really, Julie, I came here really to share with the life part of the business.
Right.
But you have the annuities, which is the pension programs.
Right.
You have the health, which is the special health programs where, for instance, cancer, diabetes, those other diseases, you have the insurance to cover that specifically. And then you have the health programs, which is to cover families, as the case might be, and so on. So there are programs that will fit in based on your availability of funds, of course.
Right.
So the agent will sit with you and explain and look at what your need is in terms of your funds available to purchase, what your goals are, and those things, and come up with recommendations and solutions to meet those needs and accordingly.
Now, most insurance policies cover you or benefit you when you pass away, some say, but are there programs or products that can benefit you while you are still alive?
Yes, there are. Well, as I said, we touched on it earlier, that way you asked that the payment is. And so you pay premiums, and it's a living benefit. There's a living benefit to some programs, and you also have programs that will engage your building of a life in the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have, but I would want to find out. This is our first in the series of discussing insurance, because I want to get into life, I want to get into health insurance, and I want to get into the general part of the business also in terms of motor and homes, as the case might be. So this is the first of our program, and I want to very much say that we're on a roll here this morning. Okay. Again, I want to congratulate Chief Sex Fali on the birth of his daughter. Congrats.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much there, Brendan Gray. And just to let our viewers know that Brendan Gray is going to be on with us very regularly. So if you've got your questions that you want to get in, maybe issues, you can message us on the live, you can message us privately, and we're going to share those questions with him. And so you can see, you'll be able to get your responses. So to better be informed with regards insurance and not be misled by what we hear. And everybody's experiences would be different, but to ensure that you get the correct information with regards the concept of insurance. All right. So we want to thank you for being with us this morning, Brendan.
Thank you very much for having me, and keep on working. You are doing a fantastic job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Well, viewers, we're going to leave it there for today. We want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we've got lots more coming up. We've got Tobago Notes coming up as well. We've got GMT with Chanel Felix coming up. So stay tuned. Lots more coming up on Tobago Updates. Have a great day, Tobago, and we will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
The two main concerns for me were how this surgery would affect my ability to urinate, and also how do I cope with sex, because two common side effects of the surgery were urinary incontinence and erectile dysfunction. I recall talking with my mother and telling her about these areas of concern, and her comments were that I had had enough sex in my life already, and so that area was not an issue.
Surviving prostate cancer is just one of the many experiences John Arnold shares with the world in his memoir, Tobago's Son. Mr. Arnold penned the book alongside veteran journalist, editor, and author Lisa Allen Agostini. The book chronicles Mr. Arnold's life and major points in his career, from his recollections of Hurricane Flora in 1963, his passion for music, his teaching career, his connections with the Signal Hill Alumni Choir, to his involvement in various culinary, cultural, and musical events on the island. This 64-year-old writer says it was strange holding his own book for the first time.
The manuscript, which is like your computer, is completely different to when you have this in your hand. And you're watching all the pictures and this is the book, you know. So I have to tell you, that was a surreal moment. It was really something else to hold the book in my hand, take it out, and actually, you know, and start to read, and you almost didn't believe, hey, this is what you actually said in those interviews.
2 book launch events were held, one in Trinidad, the other in Tobago. Mr. Arnold appreciates the support he's received from various people. He says the book is meant to motivate and inform readers about his experiences.
I'm really glad that the people who have read the book have given some interest in Dr. MacDonald said something that was very, I think, so far is the best. You know, he says that it made him understand my contribution to Tobago so much more. And he says it is definitely a testimony of history, culture, anthropology, sociology, and innovation. He says he will recommend this to anybody.
Tobago's Son is available on Amazon. You also have the option to purchase a hard copy from John Arnold himself. Just call 751-5027. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
That was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go, go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me. Together we stronger. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago. Good morning, Tobago.
Good morning, and I am your host, Chanel Felix, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago. But I have to say shout out to my producers for bringing us that lovely view this morning as we look at what Scarborough is looking like. Guys, you know, whenever you see me here on a Tuesday or Thursday, it's because we're having those conversations that would help you to start your day off right. And this morning, before we get into that conversation, I'm going to give you your news in 90 seconds. And so the PDP filled vacant positions on their National Executive Council following a meeting in their last quarter of 2022. According to a press release, the party chose to merge the Tobago and Trinidad Executive into one. The Tobagonians serving on the National Executive are political leader Watson Duke, Chairman Dr. Sean Ned, Deputy Political Leader Curtis O'Neill, Assistant Secretary David Thomas, Treasurer Marlon Rajman, and Mobilization and Operations Officer Akil Abdullah. All other positions belong to various party members from Trinidad. Several months ago, Duke removed members from the executive while others resigned, following a rift between him and the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine. Additionally, the THA took advice from Antigua and Barbuda to advance the redevelopment project for Scarborough. According to a press release from the Division of Infrastructure, Quarries, Urban Development, Secretary Trevor James and a small contingent visited the CARICOM country as they commissioned a new deepwater harbor port facility. James also met with experts in Antigua and Barbuda and explored the implementation of their maritime infrastructure. The Secretary noted similarities in their geography that can help the THA in designing new infrastructure for Tobago. And finally, scrap iron dealers were cautioned about adhering to the law or else. President of the Scrap Iron Dealers Association, Alan Ferguson, warned that he is not afraid of reporting delinquent dealers to the police if illegal operations are detected. The warning came after 6 months ban on the industry was lifted and new legislation implemented. The TTSIDA will have its own team with inspectors in addition to those appointed by the government to closely monitor the industry, both domestically and abroad. Ferguson said that changes are hard, but it is necessary for the improvement and growth of the industry. And that was your news in 90 seconds. This morning, we're going to take the conversation a little bit to what is happening here in Tobago in the health sector. Now, we've heard about I can't even say second, I can't even tell what is the number of surges that we've had so far concerning the COVID-19 virus and what is happening out in China. We've heard that a number of countries have now put on restrictions for flights coming from China and asking for vaccines to be shown before boarding flights. Now, as this situation is developing, we want to know what is happening here in Tobago, and if we are to see another surge of the COVID-19 pandemic, are we prepared? Are we ready? And what is the status of healthcare services here on the island? And to have this conversation with me this morning, I have no other than Dr. Nathaniel Duke, who is the medical chief of staff at the TRHA for the Roxborough Hospital. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good morning,
we are so happy to have you here on Good Morning Tobago, Dr. Duke.
Thank you.
Yeah, we are really glad that you have taken up the opportunity to come and really give us an update as to what is happening in the health sector. As I said before in the introduction, we're hearing about another surge of the COVID-19 pandemic. And at this point, I can't even count on my hand which surge this would be. But when we talk about preparedness and readiness to deal with another surge, where is Tobago in the grand scheme of things?
Well, I will tell you that all the infrastructure from the previous outbreaks are still in effect in Tobago. In fact, Tobago now is in a better position to deal with the critically ill because we now have a specific containment unit and intensive care unit specifically designed for COVID-19 and other infectious disease patients. The island before would have been suffering from a total lack of oxygen. So now the island actually has 3 oxygen concentrators, which is providing more oxygen than the demand of the island right now. So we have oxygen concentrators at Signal Hill, at Fort George, and at Roxborough. And these oxygen concentrators has such a high capacity that we can now export oxygen to clients in Trinidad or even to the local clients as needed.
Wow. Right. And okay, so during that pandemic period, a lot of pressure was put on your staff at the TRHA level. Do you think that allowed them to be in a better position where the healthcare on the island is concerned, or are we in a worse position than we started off?
It actually tested the robustness of the healthcare system and the staff. And those of us who were in the trenches, we understood that we just had to do what we had to do and what we were trained to do. Unfortunately, we did lose a lot of healthcare providers during that time. And it is something that I've always been very wary about and very concerned about, because when you lose senior and experienced staff, you just can't walk out the door and recruit them. And that is something that our leaders have to take a critical look at. Why did Tobago lose so much of its senior and experienced staff?
Wow.
Right? So any major resurge of illnesses on the island, obviously there will be a staff issue with respect to seniority of leadership in the clinical setting.
Okay. And over the past year, 2022, tell us a bit about what are some of the major improvements and accomplishments that we have seen coming out of the TRHA?
Well, the TRHA, I will speak specifically more with respect to Roxborough. Assuming the position at Roxborough on January the 4th of 2022, it was a huge task. I don't think that individuals really understood the enormous, the real mountain that we had to climb over to bring Roxborough Hospital to where it is. And I will tell you, when I arrived at the facility more or less was in a state of disrepair. The facility, you could not even walk appropriately on the first floor, which is the clinical floor, because the rooms were not ready. The piping were underground. The ceilings were underground. There was
and
more
this
or
is
less...
a building that had been commissioned prior to you.
This is a building that has gone through certain stages of opening and staging to be opened, etc. But from a pure clinical and logistics, it was far from such. So there was no commissioning team attached to Roxborough. So there was no coordinating team coordinating the opening or the infrastructural work of that facility. So when I got there, the first task was to pull together the commissioning team. And so far, we have had 26 meetings over the last year. And coming out of that, bringing together all stakeholders, which also included the international contractors and the project managers from Trinidad. We started to see the movement. We started to see things being put together. Everyone was on the same page saying, how long we have been asking for a coordinating team. So obviously I had to put myself as that coordinator to pull everything together and to gel the whole team, to put together your project lists, etc. And we were able to more or less see all of the large equipments being installed, operating theater being installed, tested and retested, all the laminar flow systems, the AC systems, the certification of the heliport, which is done under civil aviation. That's a robust task. And there are so many other logistics, moving equipment from around the world, as far as Germany, Switzerland, getting them into Tobago, clearing them from customs, bringing them from Trinidad, Point Lisas, etc. The installation, the check-in, the recheck-in, the certification of all of these systems, and making sure that they are safe for clinical operations. We were able to do all of that within 6 months. And so from the equipment and logistics side, we were able to bring the facility to a point where it can now inhabit or be inhabited by patients. One then had to look at retrofitting the clinical floors, because the clinical floors, it was designed to only have 21 beds by design. And we had to look at how we reoriented that. So although we still have a 21 bed capacity, rarely we can, it's in the pandemic time, and looking at patient separation, we are down to 19 inpatient beds, all right? And we also had to look at how do we get and deliver oxygen safely from one point to the next, bringing in the oxygen concentrators, all the way from Canada. Half was produced in Canada, half was produced in Germany, coordinating all of that.
Okay.
And you can imagine if the half that you produce in Canada and the half that you produce in Germany, when they get to Tobago, the fittings don't match.
Right.
You're in problems. So it was a lot of technical coordination. Imagine trying to do all of this remotely.
Oh wow! So
Right?
you were not in Tobago at the time.
So yes, we were in Tobago,
Okay,
but the team overseas,
okay, right.
We had to see everything remotely.
Okay.
And then when everything arrived, to ensure that it was a perfect match, because it would have exploded, right? So we were able to get all of that. Now we see that the concentrator and the oxygen generator at Roxborough has a capacity of over 900 mils, and we can now produce oxygen and give it to welders and patients who need supplemental oxygen for home care and divers. We have the capacity for that.
But what is being done to advertise the availability of this type of oxygen? Because I know there's still Tobagonians going out and purchasing oxygen the traditional way to take care of their family members and others that are in need. After
that process has been installed, I have made the proposal for such to be done.
Okay.
And that proposal, has to be approved by corporate and of course by the secretary. So I'm still awaiting that level of approval where you can have a fee for service and a cost center for that.
Okay, right.
And we have already stratified the cost and all of that. So we're just waiting on the necessary approval so that can be done.
Excellent.
Right?
And tell us a bit about where is the Roxborough facility status-wise at this time?
Okay.
Because the Chief Secretary has posted tremendously about what we can expect coming out of Roxborough in the new year, 2023. We spoke about 24-hour healthcare and services. Tell us about where we are with that. What can the people of the eastern side of the island expect out of that Roxborough facility?
The Roxborough facility is poised. It's really, really poised. And I must say that the staff that we were able to select had worked beyond the call of duty and exceeded our expectations, especially during the periods of natural disasters that we saw, where Roxborough was cut off from Scarborough. And that proved that Roxborough must operate as an independent medical facility. One of the things that I saw when I got to Roxborough was the notion that Roxborough was to operate as a subsidiary of Signal Hill. And I've been one of the largest opponents to that. Right? The people won't believe how much opposition I have got for taking that stance.
But Dr. Duke, do we have the requisite capacity?
So the facilities should, as all facilities, all RHA facilities, cooperate. But you have to enable the facility to be able to function as an independent medical facility, providing the 5 core medical services.
But do we have enough personnel on the island in order to fulfill this desire?
So let us look at personnel. I have never seen so much applicants for jobs.
Oh, okay.
In all disciplines, specialties. There's a lot of Tobagonians, physicians, highly qualified, sending their resumes from overseas, from throughout the Caribbean, even from Europe, from the United States, Canada, asking to be repatriated to Tobago. And these, when I look at their qualifications, these are highly qualified specialists already, Tobago born, as well as there are Tobago physicians who have completed their medical school, their internship, etc., who have applied and are still waiting to be hired. So in terms of human resource, the human resource is there. We have to answer the call. to these applicants.
And what has hindered us from answering the call to these applicants? Because it seems like there is an HR issue that is hindering the facility from being able to fit that 24-hour capacity. Tell me a little bit more about that.
I am still trying to figure it out because I have been involved in several interviews, a lot of interviews for Roxborough. And you don't know what happened after these individuals are interviewed. You know, individuals keep calling me all the time, trying to follow up, and I am embarrassed because I am clueless as to what is taking place in head office.
Wow.
Virtually clueless. All right?
Wow.
So I get no feedback when I go through this interview process, which is actually bad. And the longer you do not respond to your candidates, they just move on. And that has been one of the plagues of Tobago with respect to healthcare. It has happened to me many times.
All right. Okay, Dr. Duke, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and talk more about the Roxborough facility and what is being done to get that up to par and up to the vision that we have for that facility, which the Chief Secretary has mentioned is to have that being a standalone facility that offers 24-hour service and healthcare. So, guys, I'll see you after the break.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO, and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago, relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
It's a different type of thing down there. And we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there. Down in Tobago.
Thanks a favor to wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000 people strong, and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melanated ones. We special and there is no denying. Tobago is number one. I am you and you are me.
and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago and Tobago Updates. Guys, this morning we are talking healthcare on the island of Tobago and advancing that Roxborough Medical Facility to being that second hospital on the island, offering services to individuals throughout the island, but with specific focus to those individuals in the eastern side, on the eastern side of the island. And this morning I have speaking with me Dr. Nathaniel Duke, who is the medical chief of staff for that Roxborough facility. Now, as we are advancing towards creating 2 hospitals on the island of Tobago, there have been a lot of talk in the space, individuals thinking that Tobago does not necessarily need 2 hospitals, or, you know, do we have enough people, or is the demand there? But you have indicated that there indeed is a demand for Tobago to have 2 standalone medical facilities. You have indicated before we left for the break that there has been a breakdown in the HR process, right, whereby interviews have been done to hire a number of the medical professionals, yet after interviews are conducted, there's no follow-up. So there seems to be a disconnect between yourself and the HR process that is taking place there to really staff that facility. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, the ultimately hiring within the organization has to be driven by the head of the organization and with the appropriate instructions from the Division of Health. And I have been privy to where the secretary has given specific instructions to ensure that the needs of the facility are met with specific timelines. And we at Roxborough had done everything that we can do within our power to ensure that those instructions are carried out and to ensure that the background work for all of the HR processes were done appropriately. Multiple meetings, and we have also been part of the interview process, and subsequently, you know, the Human Resource Department and the Office of the CEO has to do their part, and we are still awaiting those parts to be done. It is quite disheartening when I hear that the recruitment has been halted. So you hear these things and there's no official documentation coming to you. You ask and you get no response. You ask in writing and you get no response. And this has been halted with respect to Roxborough on 2 separate occasions. And it has always left me in quandary because I'm like, I really don't know what is going on. No one is giving me an explanation.
So what I'm hearing here is that there seems to be a little bit of a breakdown in the relationship between you and the CEO.
No, there's no breakdown. It's just that you leave yourself scratching to why. Okay, what happened here now? You know, I most of us are still asking, you know, what happened here now. But
do you think that there have been some level of stymieing of the process for the Roxborough facility to really get up to that standard or the vision that you have set out for it?
I would say that things are moving slow. Things are not moving at the rate it should be moving at, especially in 2022 and in the 21st century.
Right.
We should have been moving faster than this. Right? There comes a point in time when you really have to reassess yourself and say, okay, why are we
moving so slow? But what I do realize is that when you come from a first world country and you come back home a bit, you know, what people see as progress here or movement, we often see as snail movement, right? So is it that we have to sort of adjust our expectations where timelines are concerned, you know, to get these deliverables?
Well, timelines aren't set by me. Timelines are set by the division. So I work with the division timelines.
Right. So is it that we need to set more realistic timelines to accomplish these things?
I think that the timelines are realistic. Okay. Because we're dealing with people, we're dealing with health. And I will share with you some statistics. In January, between January and February, the Roxborough facility, under that, it was under primary care. The walk-in was only seeing about 275, 300 patients on a monthly basis. And then when it moved to secondary care with the emergency room, we are, as of the end of November, we are up to 757 visits. That's only in the emergency room. All right. So the need is there in the Tobago East. The need is there. We looked at what other healthcare needs are needed. And urology was one that stood out because there are so many men coming into the facility with prostate issues. So we put forth everything that we need to have a urologist, a justification, etc. in the Tobago East, because Tobago cannot continue with a urology service on the island for the entire island that is part-time.
Yeah, staffed with professionals that come up from Trinidad
part-time. We have to move away. We have to be thinking bigger than that for the care of men. When we are saying that, when the statistics nationally for Trinidad and Tobago is showing that Tobago not only has the highest nationally of prostate cancer incidence and prevalence, but regionally, and if Tobago was taken out as an island by itself or as a country by itself, it will be the top 3 in the world with respect to prostate illness. So we cannot think about a part-time service for prostate issues on this island.
Right. And it has been said that one of the most technologically advanced CAT scanning machines we possess here on the island at the Roxborough facility.
Yes, we do.
Tell us a bit about that.
So we have a 64-slice CAT scan, which is highly advanced. That machine can do so much things. That machine can do virtual colonoscopy, 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional angiogram. That machine is amazing. However, that machine is only used 5 times a month. It only scans 5 or 6 patients a month, which is an absolute underutilization of the equipment.
And so, I don't even want to get into quoting figures, but I don't even want to talk about what a technologically advanced CAT scanning machine of that magnitude has cost us here on the island.
Yeah. Well, it came as part of the facility infrastructure and the whole contract. But the issue is that once you underutilize those equipments, they fail. And we have asked for, okay, you know what, since the equipment at Signal Hill is limping, why not just have the staff do that service at Roxborough? It's a much faster machine, it's a more advanced machine. However, all proposals all have not really been ascended to. And one of the greatest tragedies that I see is when you have the patients who have cancer and they need to have their follow-up CAT scans, and they come to Roxborough and they are really begging and they are really asking, we need a follow-up CAT scan, and you cannot give it to them because that service is centralized out of Signal Hill. All right, and I have asked for the decentralization of that service under the management of Roxborough for obvious reasons, because one is based in Roxborough, and 2, it is an essential service that needs to be operationalized appropriately.
And I can imagine patients being more willing to come to Roxborough as opposed to, persons who, based on the backlog presented at Signal Hill, has gone to Trinidad to
Let's think about the
services.
plight of the people of Tobago East. I was born in the Tobago East. So I understand the plight of the patients from Tobago East. Imagine riding in an ambulance from Charlottesville to Signal Hill, and you're in the back of that ambulance. It's not a very nice experience. All right? And you have a facility that can take care of your needs. So we're at the point where it is not, we have to serve the people there. This is something that the people of the East has been asking for more than 50 years. Because I was part of those meetings way back with, I would call them Young Jew. So this is something that is more than 50 years in the making, right? And it has to work properly. So all we are asking for, on behalf of the people of the Tobago East, and the patients, give us the tools to operationalize the facility as it was designed to do, right? And we invite the Chief Secretary to come to Roxborough Hospital and see what we have done and see what we need so that he can also help us drive the cause. You know, this is not really for Dr. Duke or the nursing managers. This is for the people of Tobago East where the services are desperately needed.
Okay, and so how sweet is the deal for doctors to even want to come to the island of Tobago to help to staff that Roxborough facility?
You know, Tobago enjoys a sweetener versus our physician colleagues in Trinidad. And the Tobago House of Assembly has put that sweetener in. It's called a Tobago Incentive Allowance, which is an additional 25% of your base salary. So a lot of doctors...
So if doctors should be rushing to Tobago, we shouldn't be having these staffing issues
there are no issues with respect to physicians' application. I want everyone to understand that. There are no physician application issues. The issue is onboarding the applicants. That's the issue.
Moving from applicants to
Moving from
employee.
applicant to interview to onboarding. That's the issue, right? And this should not be, this should always be a fluid process.
Right.
It should not be a process that has a lot of stopgaps all the way along, because it comes out very unprofessional. When you apply to work in Tobago, you're going to be facing all of these drama. You don't want that.
Right. And so you have indicated that one of the major issues that has, you know, really delayed that 24-hour service is the lack of the human resource that is necessary.
Yes.
And so you are putting the call out there to the Chief Secretary to come and have a look at the facility in Roxborough and to possibly intervene to ensure that the process of getting the necessary human resources across on the island is done in an effective manner. And so hopefully by the second quarter of this 2023, we could see something happening there.
We can see some more traction. You see, recruiting senior physicians is more than just interview and bringing them on board. People have to relocate, all right? And they have families. So sometimes it's a 3-month gap. So we have to understand how senior physicians think. They are very professional when it comes to recruitment. If you are not hearing from them or they are not hearing from you, it's all off.
Right. Yeah. And well, unfortunately, you know, as time winds down in studio here, I see my producer, you know, giving me the heads up that we have to wind up. Is there any last, you know, comments that you want to make before you leave here? We again want to thank you for taking the time to come on.
So I would like to say that, you know, the Roxborough facility is poised to grow exponentially in terms of service delivery and in terms of what it can offer to the people of Tobago East. We have had a lot of interest from Tobagonians, locally, regionally, and internationally, wanting to provide advanced healthcare services at Roxborough. And I think that we are sitting on something that has the potential to take us from one level to the next, to the next. The equipments are there. The staff is enthusiastic, right? We just need to pull it together to make sure that the system works fluidly. And with the interest that we are having in Roxborough or about Roxborough, it can only go from one strength to the next. And that's my last words.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Nathaniel Duke. And we look forward to having you again soon. And possibly, hopefully, within the second quarter, you could be coming to tell me that we are 100% fully functional and we are where we want to be.
Yes.
Guys, we'll take a quick break and I'll see you soon.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia. Let's go, It's a
Good morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago here on Tobago Updates, guys. And as we wind down this morning, I am talking to Mrs. Celicia James from Pantrinbago, the chairman of Pantrinbago, actually. And this morning we are talking about the small band, the small conventional band semifinals.
Yes.
In Trinidad this weekend, right?
Yes.
That is the 7th.
Yes.
The 7th of January. So talk to us a bit about how Tobago is going to be participating and competing this weekend.
Okay, so good morning, Tobago. Happy New Year, everyone. I hope we all have a successful 2023. This small band category, we have 7 bands qualifying. Out of our 8 bands, 7 bands qualified for the semi-final round. So we have a large contingent from Tobago going to Trinidad to compete. We will be going to Trinidad, actually our pans and racks going tonight on the Cabo Star and players tomorrow morning. The competition is on the 7th at Victoria Square. Our small bands we normally do well in this category, and we expect to see the same for 2023 panorama. Our 7 bands, I could just give you all a list of the 7 bands.
Yeah, that'll be excellent.
We have Uptown Fascinators, TNTech New, Eastside Dimension. We have Our Boys, Tobago Panthers, Westside, Alpha Pan Pioneers, CNB, Concordians, and there's one other band I think I missed, but we have 7 bands competing.
Okay. And who are some of the key arrangers that we can see going down this weekend with those bands?
Okay, in this category, the arrangers for this category mainly are Tobago arrangers.
Okay.
So we have Kush Ramsey, we have OJ Richards.
We have a number of
Michael,
young.
Yes.
Young,
we have Michael
upcoming.
Toby, we have Marina Mafan, we have Kishon Julian. So most of the arrangers for the small band category is out of Tobago. So we are very happy to have them in this category, and that the bands in Tobago are supporting our young arrangers. Even some of them are also drill masters for different bands as well. So
But it is excellent that we can now get the youth deeply involved in what's happening, especially where Pan is concerned on the island. You know, for a long time before, we would see people feeling like they had to wait until they got a bit older, or would have done so much before they could have gotten into actually arranging bands. And now we see more of the young players leading the charge. What do you think is responsible for this type of shift where we have more young people being in the forefront where PAN is concerned on the island?
So one of it is, honestly, free education, because our rangers, most of them, they do have a degree in music. Some of them are teachers of music. So that's one of the contribution, and the majority of them started at a very, very young age. So it might seem that they are young, but they are
have the years in the game.
In the experience,
right?
So that's one of the things, and also the fact that our bands have recognized the need to support them so that we have continuation.
Correct, exactly. And having 7 of 8 bands qualifying for the semi-final, what does that say for PAN on the island of Tobago?
It means that we are alive. We are keeping the continuation going. It means that we are looking forward for some sponsorship, because I mean, to last this 2-year period and to be alive and have 7 bands in this category, it means that we are doing something right, and we need our private sector to recognize that and to do more for us.
Excellent. But I know a lot of that private sector support comes from the bands themselves doing the necessary outreach and having the type of local reach and engagement that would allow for the private sector businesses to want to support them, right? And so that comes with, outside of just playing PAN, having a community-based impact. So outside of just the PAN playing, what is being done to encourage these bands to have a true impact within the community, whether it be by partnering with the village councils or with their area representative? What is being done on that level?
So, as you said, our bands are based within villages, and they do have interest within the village councils, and especially like we have Blackrock, we have Tobago Panthers. They have and like Tobago Panthers, they actually have a learning center where they got computers recently, and they have been using that to bring persons to the Panyard, and it's basically a homework center, which we have not seen. It's something that we heard bands talk about, but to actually have a band establish it right now, so you could recognize that bands are going beyond just playing PAN. Is basically avenue for learning, educational learning.
Yeah, and that having that social impact within the community, whereby we could use the PAN as a tool to get a lot of our young people off the streets. Do you think that this is the direction that PAN on the island should be heading into? Has there been conversations regarding that?
That is the exact direction that we head into, honestly, because you could get when we start, like I started playing PAN 11. I have nieces and nephews started playing PAN at 7. So you will have a player for 15 years if they're very focused. After that, these players, you know, life comes in. You have jobs, you have this and that. So we have to continually be bringing people into the Panyard, continually finding ways to make people interested in our national instruments. And not just the steel band is our national instrument. And we have to find ways to make players. And I say make players to help. We have the PAN in Schools program, but there's basically a pause there. So that needs to come back within the schools. And as long as we get that back within the schools, it will assist bands, because these schools could partner with community bands as well and some of their rangers within these
bands.
And
I know that falls under the Secretary for Education, Zoisha Hackett, who has spoken extensively about having a Tobago-centric curriculum, one that includes, you know, major aspects of our heritage and culture, including the steel pan. So hopefully that is an area for you guys to collaborate there.
Yes, we have already begun conversations. From the time she got in there, she actually spoke with us concerning this PAN in Schools program and what could be done to improve it and bring it back on stream. So hopefully something is done soon to bring this back on stream.
Excellent. And where this weekend is concerned, tell us about what we could look forward to from our Tobago bands as they represent us in Trinidad.
Well, I have all confidence in my bands. We have very high performing bands. I expect very explosive performances from them. I expect that we will have, if not all, the majority of the bands in the finals. It is at Victoria Square. It will be streamed live if you can't make it. So come and support, put on your pan t-shirt, pay your money to support the pan for 2023.
Excellent. I'm so glad that you took the time to come on because pan is alive on the island.
Yes.
Tell me, where is pan now compared to where it was before the pandemic, and what has to be done, if anything, to really bring that life back into, the pan arena?
Well, pan now, one thing I will say, pan now, we have continued because we have a president. She did not, which is Ms. Beverly Ramsey-Moore, she did not let the pandemic stop pan. She kept pan alive during the pandemic by having live performances, streamed performances for bands. So I will not say that we have gone backwards in any way, but having more opportunities for performances, I could say we can have besides the panorama, the heritage. They have a lot of things that need to come back on
stream. So are you
that
saying with the number of events that the different divisions have throughout the year, that it would be beneficial to Pan Trinbago to have that level of connectivity with the THA that ensures for us to have pan performances at those events to create that consistent engagement and exposure?
Exactly, because the consistent engagement is what is needed to keep bands alive. Because it's not just you have overhead costs, like you have, some of us have lease to pay, rent to pay, you have electricity bills, you have maintenance of pans. So we have to be able to bring revenue within the pan side in order to keep the band alive.
Right. Excellent. And so tell us what we could look forward to over the entire carnival season before you go.
Yes, so for this carnival season, besides the panorama event, so remember we have had single pan that took place already, finished. Our top band placed 6th, which was Metro Stars for Tobago. We also have the small band category, which is happening now. The finals is on the 14th at Queen's Park Savannah. We also have the medium band category and the large band category. For medium band, we have 3 bands in Tobago, and we also have 2 large bands. We have the THA Pan Champs, which will be taking place. We have the National Medium Band Finals happening in Tobago.
Do we have a date for the THA Pan Champs as yet?
The THA Pan Champs, we are still working. Discussions have begun, but it will be in the middle of February, close to the National Medium Band Finals. So the National Medium Band Finals is on the 12th of February at Parade Park. Do not miss it. Support just as you supported in 2020. And we will also have bands on the road as well for this carnival period. Remember, this is the mother of all carnivals. Remember, this is 60 years independence, 60 years panorama. So,
well, we look forward to that. And there's so much more that we can discuss, especially where Carnival in October is concerned for this year. What are some of the things that you guys have in store? I'm also assuming that planning is still taking place for all of that. But we look forward to so much happening there, and to us using pan on the island to really continue to engage young persons and get them off the streets and get them, productive again. And so we want to thank you for coming on to GMT this morning. And so you let us know that the small conventional band semifinals is happening at Victoria Square on the 7th, which is this Saturday.
Yes.
And Tobago is going to have 7 bands out there, and we're going to be jumping and waving and celebrating that Tobago is really having a really great national impact. And so Tobago, we thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing and commenting. I will be back with you again next Tuesday. Remember, I'm here on Tuesday and Thursday. I don't want to see me a while. We're going to have that conversation. But tomorrow you're going to see my girl Candice Jackson. She's going to be hosting, and we look forward to a whole lot more great conversations to get your morning started. It's a new year. What are you guys doing for the new year? What is your New Year's resolution? What affirmations are you saying? And what direction are you heading in? So guys, thank you. Thank you. I am your host, Chanel Felix, and it's always a pleasure to be here on Tobago Updates, the #1 broadcasting station here on the island of Tobago. Thank you guys and see you again next week.